Without Borders, Doctors
Yes.
Without Borders. So Barbara, as you look at the image over to the right, could you explain to me what you see in about 30 seconds?
Okay. I see a doctor, I think, or maybe a nurse with the
Hmm.
children. She take care of the children. Maybe the children is hurt.
Hmm. Okay, good.
That's it.
That's very good. So what we see, or what I see, is a female leaning over what looks like a child and perhaps administering some type of medicine or reassurance that everything might be okay.
Yes.
As a safety issue, I also noticed that she's wearing gloves. So that's very important, I think, for her
Yeah.
protection as well as for the benefit of the patient. Now, the first thing that we'll do is take a look at some pre-reading ideas. What do you think a volunteer is, or what is a volunteer as it relates to number one in the warm-up
Okay.
questions?
A volunteer is someone who wants to help
Hmm.
uh, for free,
Okay,
for free,
good.
um,
Without pay, a
in
volunteer is someone who,
charity or
good. And that relates to what you said about yourself earlier, that you'd like to be someone that is a spokesperson, I believe, for organizations that help others. Number two,
yeah.
what is a border? What exactly is a border, in your
A
opinion?
border, it is I don't know if it's a frontier. No, in English, I don't know if this word
Hmm.
exists. It is a line between two countries.
Hmm. Good. So it is
Um,
something that separates one area
yes,
from another. Uh,
yes, that's it.
have you ever crossed any geographic borders yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And now, number four, what are some different types of natural disasters? Maybe you can tell me about one that you might be familiar with.
Oh, natural disaster. So there is earthquake,
Hmm.
for example,
Good. And
tsunami.
and a tsunami. And when those types of disasters occur, can you imagine the importance of having volunteers to help out?
Yes, I think a lot of volunteers.
Yes, would be needed. All right.
Yes.
And finally, number five, what type of aid do doctors provide in war zones? Can you think of any type of aid a doctor might be able to provide in a war zone?
Um, I think first aid, some surgery.
Hmm. Good. First aid and surgery. Even
Yeah.
at the risk of endangering themselves, they might be
Yeah.
able to provide that type of aid. Now,
Yeah.
let's look at these vocabulary words over to the left, 1 through 12, and
Yeah.
then A through I. Can you just read 1 through 12 for me and
Yes.
tell me what you think they actually mean?
Aid. It
Mhm.
is the support. It is supporting people in danger, for example.
Very good. And midwife, what is a midwife?
I'm not really sure. Maybe a nurse, but I'm not really sure.
Exactly. It would be someone that would have some information about medical situations. But in this case, a midwife would be someone who would help a pregnant person deliver
Oh,
a
okay.
baby. Okay.
Okay.
A pharmacist, what does a
Okay.
pharmacist do?
A pharmacist sells some drugs for people,
Very,
medication.
very good. And frustrated, what does frustrated mean?
Frustrated mean when you cannot do something or you
Hmm.
cannot have something. You have I don't know how to say that.
When you just
A bad
disappointed and
feeling.
yes, exactly. You're at a loss as to what to do. You tried many, many things, but you have not found the most uh, promising situation. So in this case, we could say frustrated would be D, feeling upset because you can't change or accomplish something. And what is a
Yeah,
so what would be your response to a refugee? What
a
is a
person who
refugee?
has fled his homeland due to war, politics, or fear of danger.
Great. And crisis?
Crisis is still maybe a very bad situation,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, it would be
I
something
think
that
it's
a very bad situation. And let's see, what would be side?
side. I don't see the definition of this word.
Okay, well, let's go down to the next one, priority. Let's go to
Okay.
priority.
The most important thing.
Very good. And what about donate? What about the word donate?
Donate it is no, no, to give money or services to a person or group in
Very,
need.
very good. Very good. And
Okay.
the next one, number 10, can you pronounce that one?
Dignity.
Good. And what does that mean?
Dignity means yeah, I know. A feeling
Okay.
of self-worth.
Very good. And 11,
Speak out. Speak out. Yeah, it is to talk publicly,
publicly. And
publicly about an issue that needs attention.
number 12.
Unjust, it is unfair.
Okay. It's unjust means to be unfair. Now, as I said, that this should be a 10-minute lesson. That would conclude what we might do in terms of having this information prior to meeting with me in class. Then
Yeah.
when we would come together, we would talk about these items. We would read them. We would read, in this case, the article below, because
Yes.
you currently understand the vocabulary by virtue of the 10 words that we just talked about.
Okay.
Then I would ask you some comprehension questions, and this would encourage you to speak about what you understood or what you didn't understand. You would give me your opinion and ideas based upon something. All right, now that you have some idea as to vocabulary for this type of profession, I'm going to go back up to the top, and for the
Yes.
next um, 2 minutes, let's talk about being a volunteer and try to use these vocabulary words over to the left. In my
Okay.
in my opinion, someone who wants to help others in the medical situation or manner, they must be able to prioritize their time. What do you think about being able to prioritize your time in order to help others? I'm looking at number 8. So what are
Yeah.
your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
About prioritize your time.
Mhm.
Um, I think it is important because you have to know what is important to do in a specific situation. Because if you take too much time to do something, some lives is will be in danger.
That is correct. Very good response. I can imagine that some volunteers can be very frustrated, which would be number 4. They could become very frustrated because they don't necessarily have the materials or resources that would be required to alleviate some of the dangers that they experience, especially in times of crisis.
Yeah. But I think it is a normal feeling when you
Mhm.
go in this kind of country. You don't supposed um, to have every I don't know materials
Mhm.
every I
Yeah,
don't know I think
perhaps what you want me to know, it's not realistic to think that you would have the resources and the materials that you would need readily
Yes.
available. But for this reason, people will need to be able to organize themselves, their thinking, to be able to assist without becoming frustrated. All right. Well, now I do want to say, I want to thank you for taking the time to allow me to record this session.
Yeah.
You will get the opportunity to review and see that there is a lot that one can learn in a 10 to 15-minute session. So I want to say again, Barbara, thank you very much for your time. It was my pleasure today.